Hello, this is Austin Tran, creating a screencast on my CS50 web programming with Python and JavaScript Project 1. I will be demonstrating my app's functionality and walking through a little bit of code. So this is the landing or homepage hosted by Heroku, who also created my database and is hosting my PostgreSQL database. So the first thing is the registration. So we go to register, it's going to create a little form that posts to the backend. Login uses the same idea of posting to the backend, and it will check the username, make sure it doesn't exist, and make sure it's valid. So no spaces or character, or the password has to be 8 or more characters. So let's create demo3 and create demo as our password. So create an account and it'll send me to login. So if I go to register, try and create another demo3, it won't let us. So if we log in with demo3 and demo, it'll let us in. So now we are at the search. So another thing, the logout. Logout will clear our session cookies, which is how that's how the authentication is tracked. So if we go into our code, if we check login and register, so login will set our user ID and username to our user ID and our username from the database if the password is correct and the user exists. Register will create the account, so insert it into the database if it passes all these checks. So another thing you can see is the nav bar changes whether you're logged in. So it says register login now it says demo or logout, so your username or logout. So that was the registration, login, logout. Next thing is the import. The way we imported books, we created this little Python script to read from books.csv, and it will execute insert with that said data. So next, our search. So you can search based on book title, author, or ISBN. You can do parts or whole. So if we do Smith, it'll show up with a bunch of Smiths as our author, or perhaps if it's in the title, it'll show up. So if we did dark, it'll say dark is rising, darkness, let's see, darkest, darkly, it'll match some parts. So if it's close enough, it'll show us it. If you type 1, it'll show us any ISBN with 1 in it. So 3,000 results have an ISBN with 1 in it. Let's see, another thing, if nothing shows up in your search, it'll tell us no results were found. If you type in, say, part, so the Hunger, and then it'll show up the Hunger Games. So I set up the reviews for The Dark is Rising already, so let's go and check that out. So the book page, when you click on it, it'll take you to this page. It'll show the same details about it, title, author, ISBN, but it'll use the Goodreads API to find its rating and how many ratings it has on Goodreads. So then these are my reviews that I created beforehand. So you can see what everybody else reviewed on this book. So let's say, let's give this a 2. Say, this book was too long and overhyped. So let's submit that review, and it's going to say, review successfully posted. What if I want to say, never mind, this is great? It won't let me, because I already created a review, a review of this book. So last thing we can do is check the API access for this book. So if we go to API/the ISBN number, it will bring us to, it'll return this JSON token. So I'll show the back end of that real quick. So if we go to our application, go down to API ISBN, it's going to say, does that book exist? If not, return an error. If it does exist, get how many reviews and its ratings. I could have done this in one line, but chose not to make it more readable. So then we're going to go through and calculate the average of all those ratings. We're going to sum it and divide it by its length, then return this JSON token with title, author, and all the other information. And that is what you see here for The Dark is Rising. So now let's try it for The Hunger Games. So if we go to Hunger Games, it has 1 review already, but let's just create test 2. Give it 5 stars. So 3 and 5, if we were to go to this book's API, or the API for this book, it'll give us average scores 4 and 2 reviews. So I will just run through the code real quick, show what's happening with everything. So You log in, it's going to say if you're already logged in, or if you already have an account, just go straight to the search. We have some post methods for login and requests. It's going to check, is that okay? Is this already taken? Then it's going to create your account, or up here it's going to say, does that password, is it password correct? Does the user exist? If not, say it's invalid. Otherwise, redirect them to search and set their user tokens to their user ID, or session tokens. Logout will clear their session. Search posts with and does a SQL query to see does anything like that post exist in our database, and if there's nothing, then return no results were found. The book page will just use the Goodreads API to access information on it, and the API will, I already explained the API. So that it should be everything in my project 1. Thank you for listening. This is Austin's project 1 for CS50.